Hello and welcome to the Lonely Lunch Book Club with me, Ruth. If you are currently on your own and you're eating lunch, dinner, breakfast, morning, afternoon snack, then stay around and we're just going to sit and chat about some books. And you can tell that it's a book channel because there is a book in the background. Because that's all you need to be a book channel, you just need to have a book in the background. I will probably have lunch. In future, I will probably have lunch, but today I'm having an actual afternoon snack. So this is some coffee in my favourite yellow mug. And I also have some biscuits. Shortbread, because I'm bland. Oh my god, they're hard. That's what she said. So, I'm currently reading this book, The Mercies, by woman I can't remember, Kieran Millwood Hargrave. It is about it's about an island in Norway where all the men on the village drowned in a freak storm, and then all of a sudden all the women have now got to do all the men's jobs, and then 18 months down the line it's like, no, there has to be a man running this stuff, so we're going to give you a man to look after you women, and the man is also coming with a wife who has never left the town that she lives in, and so she's figuring out her new husband, her new area of living and all this, and I think, from what I tell, this gets gay pretty fast, and I'm looking forward to it. I am currently at page 134. Am I enjoying this book? No-ish. It has moments where it's like, oh, this is quite it's really going, and then it hits a really slow point. I'm just like, no, what happened? So yeah, I'm at 134, and they've only these two factions have just met, and I'm like, okay, I'm ready for it to pick up now, just ever so slightly, just a little bit, just a little bit. We'll put her back there, looking. Can we just appreciate the cover though? I think that was the main reason why I bought the book in the first place, was because of the cover. It's pretty. It's a pretty cover. This is also set in the 1700s. I can never figure out if it's if it's 1600s, it's technically the 17th century, or if it's someone let me know. I'm not a historian. I never planned to be. But yeah, I had a really good reading month. I hit the ground running at the beginning of the year, and then because I'm moving around and stuff, I've not been able to read as much. But hold on, let me get my book apps. I've got both, if you were curious. I've got both Goodreads and the Storygraph. I like Storygraph because the graphs are just mwah, chef's kiss. But no, I've currently read. I have read 11 books out of my challenge is about 35, because last year I read 37 books, whereas my target was 30, so I've sort of gone, okay, I'll try and read 35, see if I can get there, and see if that's my sweet spot, is about 35-ish. But yeah, so I've read 11, and my last book I read was The Appeal by Janice? I'm not good at names. Janice Hallett. That was quite good. That's a murder mystery set in a little village hamlet town, and yeah, I enjoyed it. I found the ending just a little bit meh. It was a really quick read because it's all through like emails and text messages and stuff like that, and like posters and everything, and you get a story from there. And then all of a sudden, like about 3/4 into the book, you then suddenly 3/4 to the end of the book, you suddenly go, like, it's suddenly a way, and it's just like a block text, like you're just reading a normal novel again, and I had that moment of like, whoa, I was not prepared for that, thank you very much. But I thought it was fine. I thought it was a perfectly good murder mystery. 15 suspects is too many suspects, which I think is a contradiction, because I think Agatha Christie like revelled in writing a whole murder mystery with like 10 to 15 separate suspects, you know. So if you can read it, you can read it. If not, you know. Trying to pick out like the main ones from so far this year. I guess this would be my first quarter of reading. No, we're on the 4th month, Ruth. We're not quite at the quarter, but we're close. So the first book I started with, or finished, sorry, the first book I finished this year, which is a bit unfair because I was only like 100 pages from finishing, so I think I finished it on like the 2nd of January, and it's like, book 1 already done, I'm flying through this. I read 6 books in January. I don't know how I did this, I just did. Apparently I just sat and read. My first book of the year was The Book of Lost Names by Kirsten Hamill, which is a book about it's all set in World War II France, and it's about like Nazi occupation and stuff like that, and a Jewish girl and her mum flee, but only as far as like the edge of France, and so she starts helping this like resistance by, you know, giving Jewish children fake names for them to then go to Sweden, or Switzerland, sorry. Sweden is further away from there. Goes to Switzerland, and so they can live like a normal life until everything is gone back. But she decided that she was going to make sure that if they ever needed it, they would have their real names written down somewhere, because normally it was just like, nope, gotta go, bye, and like forget your past sort of thing. So she and another person like read like basically vandalized a script, a religious text, technically, but it was like, ooh, there's codes in here, so like if you follow the codes, it will give you the child's original name, and ooh, and like it was perfectly like cute and sweet. I classified those type of books as like just like quick trash, because like, you know, it's nothing. It doesn't have to be huge. It doesn't have to like be super dramatic or super like oh my word, what's happening? Like you don't need that. You just need like a calm and collective book, and like just a quick read. And I'm one of these people who just loves reading like decent trash of books, because, you know, you just sometimes you just need that in life. You just need a quick book that's got nothing to do with the world's dramas or anything like super political, and you just want a good little romp. Yes, it is in the middle of Nazi France occupation, but we'll push past that. But it's fine. It's fine. What else? I finally got round to reading The Seven Husbands of Evelyn and Hugo. Oh my word, I see what the hype is about. It's a good book. If you have not read The Seven Husbands of Evelyn and Hugo, you need to. You need to. Because it's good. I like it. I've not read any of her other books. It's on the list. It's on the list. Thank you very much. But it's good. I I was in that boat of like, oh, it can't be that good. Like, sorry, but no, it's so not that good. But it is. It's really good. I would highly recommend the Seven Husbands of Evelyn Hugo. So good. Trying to think of like ones that I didn't like. Ooh, Fahrenheit 451. I am not a classic reader. I'm not a person who will read classic literature. I've got a couple of books over. Oh, I've got a book over there, which is Jane Austen. It's on the list. But you know, I'm not someone who will sit down and read a classic. And I'm not saying that I hate all classics. It's just, you know, it's not my genre. But I want to read some occasionally, and I do really like dystopian literature, but only in dystopian literature when everyone is still alive, kind of thing. So I really love Handmaid's Tale. I've recently just read a book that is essentially like, I think it's under the term solar punk, so it's like the world's kind of gone to shit, but don't worry, it's all environmentally friendly now, and we're living up by it, and that's A Psalm for the Wild Bill by Becky Chambers. Becky Chambers is great. I absolutely love her. She's a good writer. If you've not read the Wayfinders or Wayfarers, can't quite remember now, but one of the two, go and read those books, because it's basically fluffy science fiction. And I can't, it's good. But A Psalm for the Wild Bill is her novella to solar punk kind of thing, which you kind of see a little bit in the Wayfinders or Wayfarers, who knows. But it's just but it's all on Earth, and it's sort of like, oh, the world's kind of gone to shit, but we've all got it figured out now, and it's like, good. But anyway, Fahrenheit 451. I'm one of those people who like goes from tangent to tangent, go here, there, everywhere. Woo! Mind map. Fahrenheit 451. I really wanted to like this book, and I just didn't. It was like Ray Bradbury wrote the first section, because it's in 3 parts, wrote the first section, then wrote the last section, and then when he was meeting in the middle, he just went, woo! I really like the idea of, like, we are burning books. Spoilers. For this book. I am about to go into spoiling this book. But yeah, it's like, you have it was, so I like the first bit. So I like the first bit. That was really, like, good. It's like, I like the idea of, like, we're burning books because we don't want to promote free thinking, sort of thing. So I really enjoyed that. And then I really liked when they were him, Guy, and can I remember the professor's name right now? I can't, but the professor coming up with this plan of, like, going, like, oh, we're going to sneak in books into the firehouses, and then they have to, like, then go and burn the firehouses, and we're going to, like, leave them all over the city. So all of the firehouses have to, like, burn down because they've all got books in them. Oh my word. I really like that idea. And then it, like, I don't know what happened after that. It was like someone had just gone, like I said, it was like Ray Bradbury had written the last bit, and then the middle went, bleh. I hated the end. Spoiler, major spoilers for, like, the end of Fahrenheit 451. If you are planning to read it, or you're reading it for school, or you've never read it and you want to know, I did not like the fact that the book ended via a bomb for a war that we kind of knew what was happening, but wasn't connected to the book burnings. Or not that I read that they were part of the book burnings. And I was talking to this with my significant other, and they were like, oh, it's fair, they can, like, it's fair, like, if you look back at what time Ray Bradbury wrote this book, the war thing makes sense. And I'm like, yeah, the war thing does make sense. Doesn't mean that it's related to book burnings, though. It's not, though. This is the thing. So, yeah, I wasn't a huge fan of Fahrenheit 451. I had the same problem with George Orwell's 1984. I was like, oh, this is fun. I didn't know there was like a cute romance in it. And then the book inside the book. Again, significant other was like, oh, I loved the book inside a book. No, you are wrong. No one should like the book inside the book of 1984. I think Lena Norms is the same. I think she's once said that, like, the book inside the book is just dumb. So, But Handmaid's Tale, though, great. The Testament, also great. Come for me. I've heard a lot of people did not like The Testament, and I was like, it's fine. Should it have gotten the award? I think it was like the Booker Prize. Should it have got the Booker Prize? No. But shared the Booker Prize? No. But I thought it was good. I quite liked it, because I quite liked the fact that it was different law between the book and the TV show, because that was my thing. Because I had only just started watching the TV show when I started reading the second book. So I was like, I don't know. But once I read the book and then quickly watched the rest of the TV show, I was like, they don't share the same canon. They just don't. They don't share the same canon. So I was pretty happy with that fact that they do not share the same canon. But I did actually like The Testament. I'm not gonna lie. And like I said, come for me. I've also watched, I'm sure you all have, I've also read Pride and Prejudice. That was my first Jane Austen. That should not be your first Jane Austen. Do not do that to yourself. But I can't recommend you another Jane Austen, because I've yet to read the second Jane Austen that I'm going to read, which is Northanger Abbey. But I don't think Pride and Prejudice should ever be anyone's, first Austen. I don't. Maybe not. I'm not too sure, but I wouldn't say you should. I just found it like it was a little bit too difficult, and all the letters. 8 pages of letters. Ugh. I'm obviously a person that just doesn't like stuff inside books. I really don't. Unless it's like a snippet, that's fine. But a whole letter. I think one chapter was an entire letter. I think it must have been Mr. Darcy's letter. It was a whole letter. It was a whole chapter. No. No, thank you. I think I should probably just tell you, the rest of the stuff I like to read. I'm a bit of a contemporary fiction. I don't read much non-fiction. Non-fiction has to be, a subject that I'm really interested in, or the book has been so highly recommended that I'm now curious about how good that book actually is. So last year I read Wild by something. Cheryl Strayed. I read Read Wild by Cheryl Strayed because of Gilmore Girls, because of the reboot of Gilmore Girls. I was like, I'm really curious about Wild, because it was either that or Eat, Pray, Love, and I'm not about to read Eat, Pray, Love, so I was more curious about Wild. And Wild was fine, but I did get to a point where I was like, there's only so much you can write about hiking. Or oh no, that wasn't even it. I really liked some of the hiking stuff, especially when she was with people, but when she was on her own, I was just like, oh. Okay. So that's my thought. But no, I'm not a huge non-fiction person, but I wouldn't ever say no to non-fiction. It just needs to be like there needs to be a good reason for me to read non-fiction. Well, not a good reason, but I need it to be like, you know, so someone has recommended it to me. But yeah, so I'm contemporary fiction, occasionally sci-fi, but again, it depends on the sci-fi. I'm a little bit into fantasy, but again, not super into fantasy. I used to be. If you asked like 13-year-old Ruth what her favourite genre of book was, she'd be like, oh, it's fantasy. And it's like, no. No, we've tried to read so many fantasy books, it's just not a thing. It's not a thing anymore. So fantasy is not a thing I do at the moment. I think whilst I wrap up, I think I'll go through my story graph, and can I mention something? Does anyone else have that? Like, I don't know. Yeah, it will. Does anyone get like these like recommended for you, and they're like books that no one would read? Why am I being recommended like really like meh? That's actually like, that's a book that's We Can't Keep Meeting Like This. That's a book I've seen around, but like all the others are just like one of that's probably porn, right? That's probably porn. Why, Storygraph? Why is this my recommendations? Like, popular this week, like that makes more sense, and like, those are books that that's a book that I've literally read, so which school is currently reading Fahrenheit 451 for it to be currently on the popular this week? Who's in school and reading Fahrenheit 451? And also Julia Quinn, who I've not read her books, but I am quite a fan of Bridgerton because it's dumb. Again, I like trash, and Bridgerton is just TV trash, and it's great. So if we go through my like story graph, it's like reflective. It's reflective, emotional, adventurous are like my top 3. And then my lowest is apparently dark, sad, and inspiring. Because I'm not an inspiring person. What is inspiring? Oh, the Book of Lost Names. Okay. Okay, my top genres at the moment are science fiction, dystopian, and LGBTQIA+. I'm still getting used to that one, but I'll get there. Well, yeah. So those are my top 3 at the moment. And then my lowest at the moment is romance, young adult, magical realism, and classics. Because again, I've only read one classic this year. I do have. I'm trying to think now. I think I've got Northanger Abbey over there. I've got Brave New World. That's another because I want to read most of the dystopian classics. So yeah. Right. Well, my coffee is half finished and almost cold. And I've only eaten one shortbread. But yeah. This will get better, I promise, but I've been wanting to do this for a while, just sit, eat. I eat lunch alone quite a lot, so I was sort of like, I'm sure there's lots of people that also have the same thing, so I hope that I was just a good piece of company for about 20-30 minutes, who knows. And and I hope you come back. I do have an Instagram, it's the Lonely Lunch Book Club. And if you want to follow me on Storygraph or Goodreads, depending on whatever section you want to read. I am both as the Lonely Lunch Club, just not with book at the end, or book in the middle of it. It's just Lonely Lunch Club or the Lonely Lunch Club. I can't quite remember. I'm sure I will put it on screen. But yeah, so hopefully by the time I see you, I've either finished reading that book or I've DNF'd it. It's getting quite close to being a DNF book because it is quite slow. If anyone has read this, please let me know if it picks up. I find it really slow right now. And yeah, and I hopefully will see you next time, whenever that will be. Bye!